Oh, hey, Pa! This is the place to do it. Well, from the deserts of San Diego all the way up to the snow caps of the Sierra, animals across California live in some pretty extreme conditions. John Bartell here. You know, on my travels, I've encountered many animals on the back roads. Some of them may even surprise you. So I want you to follow me along as I introduce you to some of my favorite animal-related travel destinations. We're going to start off in Santa Rosa at Safari West. Hiding within Sonoma County's wine country, beasts foreign to California roam the tree-covered hillsides looking for their next meal.
There you go. It's like a long finger.
Yeah, you are. It's
drool
very
and everything.
slobbery.
Yes. Yeah, she's a little drooly,
Yeah.
this one.
Oh, that's on my hands now. These very saliva-filled giraffes are just some of the star attractions at Safari West in Santa Rosa. Yeah, that got in my mouth a little bit. The 400-acre African theme preserve offers an up-close animal experience, and it's tour guide Jeff Da Silva's job to get you close and teach you a thing or two. Is it normal for them to have so much slobber like this? Or?
It's fairly normal, yeah, especially for our herd.
Yeah, they don't put that in the brochure, though. The well-hydrated, spit-filled giraffes are among the many animals you'll experience while riding on the park's two-story safari trucks. How many animals do you have on the facility?
In total, anywhere from 900 to 1,000.
Wow.
Individual animals here on property with about 100 different species.
Jeff says Safari West started out as a breeding preserve for threatened and endangered animals. The goal is to help zoos and nature preserves protect and repopulate different species. Species like baby Otto, the park's first successful birth of a southern white rhinoceros.
Yeah, so we were a breeding preserve and still are. So we do buy, sell, trade, loan animals to other zoos here in the States. And we're very successful. Again, we're just so excited to have a baby rhino. I feel like we've been trying to breed rhinos since about 2008. After more than a century of protection and management, white rhinoceroses have moved off the endangered species list. They are classified as a near threatened species, so there's about 15 to 16,000 left right now, which is awesome. Just like the giraffes, the rhinoceroses eat well at Safari West. I was lucky enough to experience feeding time, and not so lucky to experience one of Jeff's lessons on rhino digestion. What are you holding in your hand there? Well, it's dung, but these animals are not very efficient at digesting their food. Okay? So when you break it apart, it's all just hay.
Okay.
It's all grass, it's all safe to handle. You know, if this was lion, then we probably wouldn't touch it.
It's another thing they don't put on the brochure here is the amount of dung you might hold.
Yes.
Just to be clear, every tour is different at Safari West and may not include a lesson on dung. And because the property is so big, you may not see all the animals.
That's kind of the beauty of the property is it really feels like a safari. You don't know what you're going to see, where you're going to see it, or how good that sighting is going to be.
One place you are guaranteed to see the animals is in the aviary. And unlike a zoo, you can walk right into the enclosure. Here you really get very close to these animals.
Very close, yes. You're in and amongst, this is their habitat. It's like the tours that you were on earlier today. You're in their home.
When co-owner Nancy Lang and her husband Peter Lang first started giving tours in 1993, the idea of commingling people in animal habitats didn't really take off at first. How did your first opening go?
No one came. The first day, no one came.
Nancy says a safari was a new idea in this area, but she and her husband believed that if people could get an up-close experience with the animals, they would feel more connected and want to protect them. Is conservation, is that a big part of this?
It's a huge part of what we do. The breeding for maintaining endangered species with the right genetics and getting people excited about the conservation projects here in the U.S. and beyond.
When you think of yaks, the Himalayas probably come to mind, but if you take a trip to Sierra County, you'll find a herd right outside the small town of Calpine. These shaggy little high-altitude animals are thriving in an unexpected place.
Take out the papers and the trash.
Don't talk back.
Yakety yak, yakety yak.
This is Sierra Valley Yak Ranch,
Hey, yak!
home to some of the happiest yaks in California.
Don't talk back.
So it started as a joke that Jenna took a little too far.
Just like everyone else in Sierra County, Jenna and Greg Gatto were cattle ranchers.
Called Jenna up. Said, Jenna, what do you think about yaks?
And I said, what's a yak?
But then in 2015, Jenna and Greg decided to diversify the herd.
She got on Wikipedia, and about 2 weeks later, she said, we're going to Idaho, we're getting a yak.
The yak is native to the Himalayas, often found in high altitudes. Turns out that Calpine, California is pretty similar. All right, so the thing you want to really watch out for here, a lot of yak poop. That's you, you're messy. Greg and Jenna's yaks are pampered yaks. One of the perks of living on the farm is regular pedicures.
Let's see if we can trim some of that back heel.
Trim there. After a little hoof trim, it's time to milk the yak. We're getting really personal. Early settlers and railroad workers brought many animals to California, including some unexpected ones. That's the case for catfish near Donner Summit in Nevada County. Catfish are not typically found in the high Sierra, and especially not in elevations above 7,000 feet like the ones in this small pond near Donner Summit. Locals call it the Chinese Catfish Pond, and it's located just up the hill from Donner Ski Ranch next to Lake Angelo. The trail is short, just over a half mile, but it's rocky and steep. If you need a little break, stop off at the tree swing. Whee! The location of the catfish pond is not a secret, but how the catfish got to the pond is.
So there's a little mystery around this pond and how do these catfish get there?
How did the number one is probably the Chinese.
Historian Greg Zerbel says there's two theories behind the catfish pond. The first one involves Chinese laborers who built the Transcontinental Railroad back in the 1860s and 70s.
Where the Chinese spent like 16 months digging the longest and highest tunnel on the Transcontinental Railroad. And we have record that, right, fish were being planted all over the place here.
From here, you get a pretty good idea what some of those Chinese laborers were working on. Over here is China Wall. It's a 75-foot tall retaining wall, and it took 12,000 Chinese laborers to build. Greg says the Chinese might have planted the fish in the pond for either food or entertainment, but there is another theory.
Right outside the western portal of the longest tunnel on the Transcontinental Railroad had the Summit Hotel there. And we have articles that mentioned that this hotel proprietor was up here planting the fish.
Just for recreation?
I think for food for the restaurant.
Regardless of who put the catfish in the alpine pond, it's pretty amazing that these little guys can survive the freezing temperatures during the winter.
They must have some pretty good blood running through their systems if they can stay defrosted like that.
Well, when one of his reindeer need a break, Santa heads to Kern County to borrow one from Windswept Ranch. This exotic animal ranch has more than just reindeer. It's home to a variety of animals, and it has a lot more to offer. Below Tehachapi Mountain, just outside of the arid and windy town of Mojave, there's a small ranch that Santa Claus visits every year just before Christmas.
There you go.
And when he comes, he always brings a handful of graham crackers to feed his favorite animals. Santa, what are you doing here today? Are you looking for like a backup? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we always have backups.
If you thought reindeer only lived in the North Pole, think again. This is Windswept Ranch, one of the only places in California where you can rent a reindeer. This doesn't seem like reindeer country out here. Am I wrong, or?
Oh, you're absolutely right. 100%, but we've been here 23 years with no issues. They're not like people. They don't whine and complain about air conditioning and heat. I like them a lot.
Diana Freeling is the owner of Windswept Ranch, and when she's not renting her reindeer to Santa Claus, she's taking the animals to Christmas-themed events all over California.
Come on, kids.
How many reindeer do you have here?
I have 12 out of roughly 25 in California. Cornered the market.
Diana may have cornered the reindeer market, but the money these animals bring in goes to a good cause.
And they have supported the ranch and paid for all of the rescues over the years. As many as 50 have been on the ranch at one time, and they have fed them all. And that's the most talkative camels I've ever had.
Mary, don't get pushy.
When Diana retired from the garment industry 30 years ago, she started rescuing all sorts of neglected animals.
A lot of what we've had here, horses and donkeys and stuff, come in because people can't take care of them. All those dogs, all rescues, because they're killing so many at the shelters right now.
For years, Diana not only rescued animals, but invited kids to the ranch to learn about them. Even I learned a thing or two on my visit, like why reindeer hooves make a clicking noise.
When they walk, if you listen carefully, you'll hear a little clicking. Up on a housetop, click, click, click. It's not their feet, it's a tendon in their ankle that snaps over the bone, and they think that sound is so they can stay together in storms.
Every year, Santa visits Windswept Ranch just in case he needs a backup reindeer for Christmas. But Diana says the only way that Santa could ever use one of her reindeers is if the children believe they can fly.
That is probably the most special moment you'll ever have. When a kid comes up and they're right on the edge of not believing in Santa, and they see that reindeer are real, their parents get that innocence for like one more year. And that's just magic to me. It really is magic.
Hey, John Bartell here. We're checking out the diversity of animals across California, and we've come to the romantic side of the story. Every year on the Central Coast, beautiful love songs bellow across the San Simeon coast. Those ballads, well, they're coming from elephant seals.
The view from Hearst Castle is absolutely breathtaking. The San Simeon coastline and rolling hills is one of the most peaceful locations along Highway 1 in the Central Coast. There are, however, some very noisy neighbors. They're very vocal animals.
Exactly. When I come out here, I like to give lots of space for the elephant seals to say what they need to say. They're actually the star of the show anytime you come out to the rookery.
The reason that state park interpreter Robin Chase likes to give these guys some space is because the conversation can get very heated and sometimes violent.
So you just heard a bellowing kind of call from one of our alpha males on the beach. He's surrounded by your cackling females.
These noisy bellows and cackles from the Piedras Blancas elephant seals are at their loudest from December to March, which is birthing and mating season. And alpha elephant seal males get very jealous.
They'll make the vocalization call. That's your first warning. If you do not move out of the way, the chase begins.
When Robin says chase, it's more like a sluggish gallop. The 4,000-pound males are protecting a harem of about 40 females who are nursing their pups in an area called a rookery.
She's gonna nurse around the clock, and the pup's gonna get huge. It's gonna go from about 80 pounds to about 300 pounds in a month. Basically a ball of blubber on the beach.
A rookery is a safe beach that elephant seals return to every year, and the Piedras Blancas rookery is one of just a handful of rookeries left in the world.
People were actually hunting whales and elephant seals for their blubber. They were turning it into oil.
During the early 1800s, an untold amount of elephant seals were killed so their fat could be used as fuel in lamps and candles.
Sadly, the elephant seal population declined to, less than 100 animals.
For many years, elephant seals were thought to be extinct until researchers found a small group of them living off an island in Mexico.
The animals rebounded very well. They're all descendants of less than 100 animals.
The elephant seal is one of California's greatest conservation stories, allowing researchers to learn all sorts of important and odd facts about the species.
What is going on with their nose, their schnoz?
It's like a secondary characteristic, kind of like a man's beard, like a little scruff on your face.
The ostrich is the largest bird on Earth and it's native to Africa, but a flock of ostriches are laying eggs in Santa Barbara County. Watch your fingers because we're headed to Ostrich Land.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Welcome to Ostrich Land, USA, Santa Barbara County's premier big bird sanctuary.
The black ones with orange beaks are the males, and then the brown ones with the brown beaks are the females.
Cody Perry is a self-proclaimed ostrich wrangler. He has a number of jobs here, but his main job is egg collection.
I mean, how big of an egg is this, like, on the plate? Will this cover the plate?
This will for sure cover the plate. I would say this is equivalent to like 18 to 24 chicken eggs.
Just to give you some perspective on the size, here's a human baby holding an ostrich egg.
It's kind of hard to tell which one it is because we have a couple males that do that.
He just does that all day long?
All day, yeah. He loves the truck.
When Cody says the ostrich loves the truck, he really means it.
This is like a male ostrich dance. He's trying to attract the female, and right now he's trying to attract us, so.
I'm not sure what that says about Cody and I, but I can see how the birds get confused. You see, Cody's a nice guy, but he does handle a lot of eggs. Not to mention, Cody helps hatch the birds in an incubator. Often, he's the first person they see.
We have 3 babies out there that are 9 months old. They do not look like babies.
They don't look, okay, so they grow up quick. Not only is Ostrich Land a great place for selfies, it's also a great place to learn a thing or two about big birds. This next animal may not be native to California, but it sure loves the weather. San Diego County is home to a unique dairy farm that gets milk from camels. Nearly 1/5 of the land in San Diego County looks like this. The Anza Borrego Desert. It's hard to imagine anything would want to live here, but this arid land is home to longhorn sheep, deer, and numerous wildflowers. And just over the Laguna Mountains, you'll find another kind of desert-dwelling animal. This is the Oasis Camel Dairy in Ramona, California. What are we looking at here?
We have the one-hump camels right over here. They're the hot desert camels. They do really good in this area. This is pretty much like their natural habitat.
Gil Regler and his wife are the proud owners of 24 dromedary camels. You know, the one-hump kind.
Camels come from Arabia, these camels. There's one-hump camels, they come from the hot desert. Two-hump camels come from the cold desert.
Not only do the one-hump camels like the hot San Diego desert, they're also the ideal breed of camel for milk production.
You're actually milking these camels?
Yes, I am. Right now I'm milking one camel. I milk Knuckles and we make our products.
The camel milk at Oasis Dairy is not for drinking. It's used in lotions and soaps.
The lotion has 10% camel's milk in it. We milk, right now we're milking Knuckles, and then her milk goes into this lotion.
According to Gil, camel's milk has a lot of health properties, and it's actually good for you.
It's really, really good stuff. Turns out camel milk is the closest milk to human mother's milk.
Unfortunately, California regulations don't allow Gil to sell the raw camel's milk. So now, that leaves more milk for the camel babies.
This up here, is that water in there?
The hump is made out of fat.
Oh, it's fat.
It's bristly fat. So camels can go 2 weeks without drinking any water, lose 25% of their body weight.
Education is a big part of Oasis Camel Dairy. Every month, they open up the ranch to visitors. And for obvious reasons, visiting day is the camel's favorite day.
They just love attention. They want to be petted. They seek it out.
Of course, a trip to the camel dairy wouldn't be complete without a ride on the camels.
Lean back, lean back.
That was a trip right there.
One hump is better than 2 when it comes to riding. Why, you ask? Well, they're bred that way.
And how much can this camel carry?
600 pounds.
600 pounds?
10 hours a day.
The camels here don't ever carry that much weight. In fact, they're treated a lot better than they were in their past life.
We take in camels that are sick or not doing good. We have a great veterinary program. We need to buy them, we buy them.
This place is more of a camel rescue than it is a dairy.
Hey, good girl, come right here, you're okay.
It may be hard to imagine that anything would want to live in this arid land, but for these camels, this is an oasis.
Well, some animals are better seen at a distance, especially if that animal is the size of a pickup truck. You're going to want to stay behind the fence on this next location as we head to San Francisco's Golden Gate Park to check out the bison.
At first glance, San Francisco's Golden Gate Park looks like any other park. It's got trees, lots of grass, and walking paths. But there's one area of the park that gets a lot of looks.
I see the bisons first time in my life.
Yeah, he said bison. Nick Fedova is like many first-time tourists who are a little surprised and confused when they see giant animals roaming the park.
I suppose it could be. I mean, we see tourists pretty much every day. You know, we meet people from all over the world out here that come just to see the bison.
Amy Phelps is one of the many caretakers at what is known as the Bison Paddock. And when I visited, it was lunchtime. And on the menu was an appetizer of grain and the main course, Christmas trees.
Bison normally eats Christmas trees?
They can. They eat a variety of wooded plants and mostly grass. They're mainly grazers.
Amy put me to work garnishing the Christmas trees with lettuce and carrots.
Bison food.
All right, girls, let's go.
Although the bison are cared for by the staff at the San Francisco Zoo, they've never really been part of the zoo. The bison paddock is actually a part of a centuries-old conservation project.
Bison in general are absolutely a conservation story. I mean, they were literally hunted almost to extinction.
The American bison, 250 years ago, almost 60 million of them roamed the North American continent.
Hollywood has taught us to call them buffalo, but their true name is the American bison. And during the colonization of the West, pioneers and the U.S. Army slaughtered millions of bison.
In part for hide and meat, and in part as part of the really awful things that were done to Native Americans.
As a part of the American Indian Wars, the U.S. government encouraged people to kill bison to reduce food for the Native Americans. By 1889, the species nearly went extinct, with a population of less than 1,000 bison.
1891, the old park superintendent, McLaren, brought in one male and one female.
In an effort to save the American bison, Park Superintendent John McLaren started a breeding program. Over the years, more than 500 calves were born, and literally, it saved the species from extinction.
They've come a long way, but the only free-roaming bison now exist in conservation areas where they're protected.
Though they're fed by humans, the Golden Gate bison are very much wild, and if you're wondering, yes, they have escaped a few times. One notable escape happened in 1899 and involved a bull bison trampling a park ranger and goring and killing his horse. The other major escape was in 1942 when bison ran through the streets, and the last reported escape was in 1995. But since then, the fencing has been updated.
And there's multiple layers of fencing, so even if a tree fell and took out one layer of fencing, it certainly wouldn't free a bison. They'd have to get past many.
The Pacific Flyway is one of the longest migratory paths in the world, bringing flocks of birds to Glenn County. And when they arrive, the bird is the word at the Sacramento Wildlife Refuge.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner.
As the crow flies, the Wildlife Refuge is just 7 miles south of the town of Willows at the Colusa and Glenn County line. Admission is just $6, but it's not the only bill you'll see. Geese, ducks, and the elusive sandhill crane love to show off their honkers. If you ask me, there's lots of foul play around here, and it's not just my bad bird puns.
And it's so amazing because they're all flying synchronized.
Bird watchers Herb and Paul decided to wing it and take the 6-mile auto tour, which migrates through the wetlands in some of the most impeccable breeding habitat. Just a warning, there's a lot of dirty birds out here. I'm talking hooters and peckers, and if you want to get a good picture of them, you've got to have the right size camera lens. If you're still watching, let me give you a bird's eye view through my car. The refuge supports over 250 bird species that migrate year-round, and if you're lucky, you may just catch a peep of some of the raptors. Little word of advice, stay in your car on the auto tour. Want to stretch your legs? The Wildlife Refuge has over 6 miles of interpretive trails, and they're just lovely in the spring. Just make sure you stay on the path. There's a lot of quacks around here. Why'd the chicken cross the road? It's an age-old question, but if you're in Sutter County, that question gets asked a lot. In Yuba City, the chickens rule the road. Yuba City's welcome sign is wrong. The population is growing well over 62,000. Not to mention, the sign only accounts for people.
I don't know if this is the best spot for you. Carl's Jr. has a special on chicken burgers.
Yuba City has what some may call a chicken problem.
Where did the chickens come from?
I have no idea. We've only been here a year.
You don't know where they come from?
Hopefully somebody's yard. Sounds like chicken and dumplings tonight, huh?
Chicken and the dumplings tonight, okay.
The origin of the chickens is not clear, but the birds have left their mark on the doorstep of the county visitor center and made nests along Franklin Road.
Anyway, they cross the road with the lights. You'll see them clear up to.
Wait, they cross the roads with the lights?
With the lights.
Now, I didn't see any chickens use the crosswalk, but maybe more of them should.
This one didn't make it across the road. Well, it did, but not very far.
The chickens seem to have been here a while, so I went to get some answers at the Sutter County Museum. Unfortunately, historical record left out the chickens.
A lot of people have heard that they came from a livestock auction yard that was in that neighborhood for a long time.
Back in the 1970s, the livestock yard is where chickens were sold.
Hi, welcome back. We're gonna get you.
Today, though, Yuba City gets its chicken from a variety of poultry-themed restaurants.
There's also a lot of chicken restaurants around here. Oh, I know. I don't know. No coincidence?
No, I'm not sure why they're all in Yuba City. That's funny, though.
Instead of trying to solve the chicken mystery, Yuba City embraces the birds. They've even painted chicken murals all over town.
Right, I like them myself. I mean, that's part of nature.
They may be misunderstood, but they're a part of Yuba City.
Well, thanks for watching Bartell's Backroads and tagging along with me as we check out the diverse animals across California. I hope it's inspired you to pull off and check out some animals on your next road trip. And may I suggest stopping here at the Folsom Zoo Sanctuary? We've got quite the selection of animals. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads. Hey now, that's my line.